Coach Storey, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. This is truly an honor that you take some time today and just spend some time with me and to have a little conversation together. I want to start out by reading some scripture, and this scripture comes from Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4. Seems kind of interesting, doesn't it? It says this, and Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by the devil. And he ate nothing during those days, and when they were ended, he was hungry. The devil said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become bread." And Jesus answered him, "It is written, man shall live by bread, not live by bread alone." And the devil took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment, in time. And he said to him, "To you I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been delivered to me, and I give it to whom I will. If you then will worship me, it will be yours." And Jesus answered him, "It is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve." He took him to Jerusalem and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, "If you're the Son of God, throw yourself down from there. For it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." And Jesus answered him and said, "You shall not put the Lord your God to the test." And when the devil had ended every temptation, he departed from him until an opportune time. And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit to Galilee. I read that because, it actually, something I read at 4:48 this morning, and I couldn't help but begin to think about, wow, Jesus, this is his temptation. It's when the devil was trying to tempt him. Remember, Jesus is very God and very man. He's fully man, so he's being tempted in every way just like we are. And as he's being tempted, Jesus uses the scripture from Deuteronomy to give a rebuttal to Satan. But I think one of the most amazing things that we see from here is that this was a 40 days being tempted by the devil. That's a long time. I was thinking back on the scripture as a whole, and 40 days has this giant theological motif. If you go back, way back in the scripture, you see this from the time of the Exodus. We see this with the days of Noah and the ark. There was all this 40 days type period. And if you even march to the time of David and Goliath, Goliath had been out there taunting and teasing God's people for 40 days before the little shepherd boy shows up and sinks the rock in his forehead and kills him. And Jesus actually went around preaching the good news after he was resurrected for 40 days. And I couldn't help but think, man, this is a huge, huge deal for God. Why is it that he chose 40 days? I couldn't figure out why that specific time period, but it's just replete throughout Scripture over and over again. And you see it there showing up in Jesus' life, not only in the temptation, but after he resurrects and he preaches. And then it struck me at, it wasn't 4:48 at this point, it's probably about 5:48, because it was like an hour later. But I was blown away because I was thinking about you, praying about you, knew we were going to get together. And then all of a sudden it hit me. Coach, what's the number on your jersey?
It's 40.
Wow.
Let me interrupt you just for a second. Do you remember my first banquet as head coach? Do you remember what I read at the end?
I don't, no.
Don't? All right. And so, and tattoos, and 41 is what I have on my wrist.
Yeah.
Crucifixion, so on and so forth, that stuff. But also I wanted to remind it is, well, what happens on day 41? 40 days of temptation, 40 days of strife, 40 days, but what happens at 41? And that was my very first banquet. That's what we ended with, was trying to, slip a little scripture kind of thing in there. But at the same time, too, it's just, I felt like that was kind of all of our journey is, don't give up on 40. Yeah. Because 41's coming.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
It's really cool.
Well,
really cool.
It freaked me out. I was like, holy cow, I didn't see it coming, and I'm like, oh, wow, it's pretty remarkable how God would use that number. But also, when you read from Genesis to Revelation, anytime God uses the number 40, it usually means a time of refreshing, but also a time of transition. And isn't that just clutch when you think about you're only the third coach,
Yeah, it's wild.
head coach in Harrison baseball history. And obviously Coach Elkins was there. He had the longest tenure, but it was a time of transition. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if you could have foreseen choosing the number 40. And why did you choose the number 40?
Because that's the number I had in high school.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it's kind of in some of us that were kind of the bigger kid, kind of growing up kind of thing. Is, we always had whatever number was last because those were the bigger sizes.
Yeah.
And playing at McEachern, football is a little bit different position, and you get a little bit of say and whatnot. Well, that was the biggest jersey we had was 40. Even now, it wasn't that big, but it was the biggest one we had. And so 19 was my first one on JV, and then when I made varsity, it was 40, and so there we go. And just so when I had an opportunity as the head coach, now that I'm a one order in uniforms, it's like, well, what number do I want? And it's like, man, I've always liked 40. God. And just now here we sit, here we're talking, and just these cool little things with numbers and biblical numbers.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
We were talking a little bit about before, it seems like it's 3 and 7 and 40, and there's these mathematical rationales behind all these coincidences that aren't coincidences.
Yeah. Well, when I was thinking about all the transitions, Noah is there with the flood, 40 days, 40 nights. You're now resetting all of mankind. You have 8 people on a boat. He gets off and he's going to restart everything. God's going to do that through Noah, but it's a transition period, big transition period. Moses had the same thing when he's coming back to deliver God's people, 40 days. But I couldn't help but think about the story of Moses and Joshua. It says, be strong and courageous. That's what the Lord tells Joshua. Be strong and courageous. And Joshua had been following Moses. He was the leader. And then it got to that day where they're going to cross to go to the promised land. And Moses says to Joshua, you're going to take them in. And he says, yeah, he's like, what do you mean? I'm not the guy. You're the leader. He's like, no, you're going to take them in. God said, I can't go in. I'm going to die here. Come up here, take a look at this. That's what you're going to go to, and I'm going to go ahead and die. You're the new leader. Be strong and courageous. And this is these cycles, right, of transition, of 40 days. And you're so right, because what happens day 41? And the testing of our faith produces steadfastness. Keep moving forward. I say those things because I can't help but think when you took over as head coach, there's a passage in Esther. It says, such a time as this. Mordecai says to Esther, God's put you in this position for such a time as this, a transition period. Here's the cool thing, though. How long were you coaching at Harrison before you became the head coach?
15. I was with Coach Elkins for 15.
15 years. So the program backwards and forwards. By the way, I know a little insight. You actually played for Coach Elkins.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that. I played for Coach Power in Elkins.
Yeah.
Going into it was either junior or senior year. I think it was the summer going into my senior year. Wow. I played for them. Wow. So even beyond that, there's still that link, kind of thing. So and
I think that's where, as a guy who's an alumni who played at Harrison, if there's anybody that I was praying for that would get the job, was you. You had played
the McEachern kid.
Yeah,
prayed for the McEachern.
But the thing was,
love your enemies, right?
You're and back then we were enemies. Yeah, but no, you were a Hoya through and through because you had played for those guys. You knew Hoya baseball before you ever left McEachern. You came there, you learned all of the process that was taught at Harrison, and then Coach Elkins retires and you get the job. It was amazing, though, because you have this connection piece, this transition piece, this number 40 who's about to step in, right? And it's a transition from what we were in the past, still holding on to so much of that, but there's new coming. There's a new thing I'm doing going forward with a new man. Joshua, you get to lead us in. When you think back to those 15 years, I admire you because I'll never forget when I left seminary. I was about to leave seminary, graduating, and all these guys thought it was hot, sexy, and cool to plant churches. Every guy was like, I'm leaving seminary to plant a church.
Well, your pants are on fire. You're ready to go, and it's understandable.
And so we had this graduation class. We're all sitting around there asking, what are you doing? What's happening? And they asked me, and I'm saying, well, I'm praying I can actually go sit underneath a really old minister for about, 7 or 8 years, because I don't know jack squat.
Right.
I need to go learn something. I sat here in a classroom, and sure, I worked at a church while I was doing it, but I've never actually boots on the ground gone after it. So I need some older guy to give me some lessons and teach me some stuff and give me some exposure to things. And so when I think back to like how everything worked out in God's providence for you, you were sitting there learning, but you were also really implementing what was to come as you worked with the pitchers, as you're just building relationships with so many different guys, with so many different teams. Billy Graham is well known for saying a coach will reach more people than anyone on the face of the earth. And with you being there from generations, I mean, you think about that. There's a lot of people that you had. I remember the first time somebody had said something about you to me, and they said, oh, man, my son played football for him. He loved Coach Storey. And I thought, football? I thought he was just baseball. Oh, okay. Well, he's in all kinds of avenues. When you think back over that 15 years, what are some key things that just kind of stand out as you think about learning, processing things, and really learning the idea of steadfastness, I guess. You're coaching and you're doing what you love, but I think real leaders, and I would say you're a true leader.
Well, thank you.
You think about the day that you're going to be leading your own squad.
I mean, that was my goal. That's what I wanted to do. And, as time went on and working under Coach Elkins, this is the place I wanted to be. This is the one I wanted. This is, most assistants aren't in one place for 15 years. There's several reasons. One, I was learning.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for a better mentor than Mark Elkins, as far as being steadfast, and especially that.
Yeah.
And installing some discipline, not just in your players, but yourself, and the expectation to match it. But, it goes, way back, to the family.
Yeah.
As people that know me, my dad passed away last April, and, life of a policeman, National Guard, United States Air Force. I mean, so my grandfather, that's one reason why I wear, kind of what I do and try to install with it a little bit, was just that kind of nod to that. Because even though I've never served myself, I mean, I've got multiple cousins, uncles, a nephew right now in the Air Force, dad, my grandparents, I mean, so we come from that lineage. And so that kind of respect for doing the things the right way and treating people right, have kind of always been there and being raised that way. But in my 15 years at Harrison, just seeing Coach Elkins and just how fair across the board he was to people. Now, many may not agree, with his decisions and maybe even the way he carried out, but he was doing it, how he knew it to be right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that was the most fair man on campus. It didn't matter. Right is right, and this is what we're going to do, and this is Harrison baseball. And so that was a big part of it. At his Hall of Fame induction speech for Harrison athletics, one of the things that I mentioned and talked about was just how he expected greatness from us, the coaches and assistants, and I learned how to take constructional criticism and know and understand where he was coming from with it. And it was a place of love, but maybe that's the military family in me. So it didn't scare me. It didn't run me off. And I think that's a big part of it. It's just preparation and knowing that at the end of the day, you may spend all this time prepping for something, and 2 pitches in, this game completely has changed. But the bottom line is you came into this prepared. You're confident. You feel good about yourself. And you did everything that you possibly could do. And, and then there's things, practice organization. And this is what we preach to our players all the time is, practices are for coaches, games are for players. And sometimes we got to sit down, shut up, and just let the dogs eat kind of thing, because they're good athletes, and that's where the trust piece comes in. But it's that leading up to it, preparation kind of thing. And so I think that's probably the biggest takeaway with that. Some of it, I guess, is patience, learning to deal with people. I think in every situation, I can go back to my college days and playing. Sometimes there's things that happen. It's like, when I get the opportunity, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to be that way, or I don't. And so sometimes you make those decisions, or you try to model things or build a culture that emulates how you felt as a player.
Yeah.
But then also, too, there's times where you implement and try that, and you go, that's why we did it that way. I get it now. So you think you have these grand ideas, and I want to change, I want to do this and that, and then you do it, and you go, that's why we did it that way, And so there's some of that too, and I'm sure you did the same, when you're getting different ministries started and going, and the old minister that you were behind before, it didn't make a lot of sense. We just did it, and then when you tried to implement something different, it's like, oh, I get it. I get it. So there's a lot of that too, and I guess I'll kind of finish my statement with this, and you and I just talked about this the other day. Is we have such a rich, deep tradition of certain ways of doing things. And, I never set out to change our culture. I don't want to change our culture. We got a good culture. I want to add to it. And sometimes it's trial by fire, and you screw up sometimes, and sometimes you're successful. And then you seek out wisdom from people you trust. And, and Coach Elkins still to this day is with me. And you guys that don't know, as a staff, not all of us can make it all the time, but once a month, ever since Coach Elkins retired, we get together and have dinner. And so we still try to keep that culture and connection going, but just still, hey, what do you think of this? What do you that? And sometimes you know the answer, sometimes it's predictable, and sometimes you get one that's just like I never thought of. So it's growth and process. Yes,
you are right though. It's such a rich tradition. That was 91, 92, 93, 94, those early days of Harrison baseball, where it was Coach Power and then Coach Power and Coach Elkins. Obviously, I was there in 94, and we had no idea what we were in for when we got to Harrison with the baseball program, and the practices were they were so rigorous. And we had never done that before. We had never practiced 5 or 6 days a week for 3 hours every day at such high intensity that you were begging for the baseball game to hurry up and get there. It was like, can we just play? Because this is intense, And then I didn't realize how much that was a blessing until I was playing with other guys at East Cobb who were from Lassiter or Walton. And they were looking at me and thinking, you got to dial it back. What are you doing?
How much slower was the game?
It was, right? I mean, it was almost like sometimes things were in slow-mo. You're like, well, yeah, we've already done this.
Yeah.
We've already done this. We've already practiced this like a million times. It's just second nature to whatever, right? And so I think back to what you just said, and you've carried that tradition where we get after it at practice. When practice is over, there's this, okay. Then usually we head down in the indoor and hit some more. But
for another hour.
For another hour. You guys have got to go home.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. No, that's true. Shifting gears for just a second. How long have you been married? How many kids? That kind of stuff. Just give me.
All right. So here we go with numbers again. And weird things and coincidences and stuff like that. So Amanda, my wife, Amanda and I met when I was actually done playing at the time, and I was just finishing up at West Georgia getting my teaching degree. And she's a hairstylist, and I'll spare the details, but we met through a kind of a blind date type situation. She was cutting my brother's hair and mentioned it, hey, I've got a brother, so on and so forth. And anyways, I was coaching football and baseball at McEachern at the time. So in between two-a-days, I found the courage to go up there and introduce myself. All right, so here's where the fun part gets in. So on a Friday the 13th. My wife and I went on our first date. Okay, and then we get married on an April Fool's Day. So that was the first Saturday of spring break. We're in love. We're getting impatient. We were thinking of fall wedding, but I was still coaching football at the time.
Oh.
And so it presented itself to where, well, the first Saturday of spring break, we're off. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So we got married on April 1st. We got married the year 2000. So the math is easy. So I've been married for 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, that moves on. I have 2 children. Cole was almost born on Groundhog Day, but he was born on the first Super Bowl in February. And then if you want to talk football and numbers and coincidences and state championships and stuff, there's even that numbers and all those, and who played in the Super Bowl that year and all that. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm getting off track. But Cole is 23 now, and he is in training to be a fireman with Smyrna Fire Department.
Wow.
And is loving it. And
It's great.
he's actually home right now. He gets the weekends off from their training facility, and he's super excited. And it's neat him telling us some of the things that are going on and seeing leadership roles starting to pop up. And we had a proud moment. I've got to brag on him for this. Had a proud moment this morning as a father. So Amanda and I's routine is every Sunday morning we'll get up. Most of the time we'll eat breakfast, go somewhere and get breakfast, and we'll go to Walmart together.
Yeah.
And it started when our kids were old enough to be young enough to be left alone, because that was the only time we got.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so here now, 25 years later, we're still on Sundays going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
As kind of a date kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you know how parenting is. Hey, send us your list. What does everybody need?
Yeah.
And one of his partners, I'll leave the name out, but one of his partners that he actually goes and picks up and takes to training doesn't have some of the same resources that we're privileged to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cole's like, person X needs this, this, and this, and this. Can we get this too? Wow. So basically whatever we're getting Cole, we get it, we get double for it. But he even went to as far as saying, because they got to be clean shaven.
Yeah.
Nothing every day. Well,
Yeah.
this young man didn't know how to shave. Doesn't have a father in his life, that sort of stuff. So Cole's teaching this guy how to shave. He's buying him razors. He's getting these things. So it's really, really, really cool to see your little guy become this, this man, and leadership stuff. So, so that's Cole. He also went to Harrison. He played football, played baseball up through his sophomore year, fell in love with the weight room, and went to go play college football, kind of thing. So, but Reese is 21. She's an esthetician. So she's actually works in a couple different places, and she's got 2 jobs, both in the kind of the beauty business kind of thing. And so it's really cool seeing her just grind.
Yeah.
But also at the same time too, she's hard-headed enough to where, she takes care of herself. She's fine. She knows when to pump the brakes and stuff. But just to see the work ethic develop in her and how she's molding becoming a strong young woman, much like Amanda, is really neat and really cool. And both of them are still living at home and saving up.
Yeah.
They both got their first car purchases. Cole's engaged to Kayla, who we love, and I actually taught Kayla, and she's a sweetheart. She's the female version of Cole, and we love her dearly. And so, it's neat to have kind of this little family dynamic still while they're growing, and eventually they're going to get out of the nest.
That's right.
Sometimes it feels like a roommate situation. You're ready for them to go, and then there's these times where you want to hold on, and so we're rolling. We're doing good. We've always been fully immersed into the Storey family and then the Harrison family, and all these different entities that we've been picking up and growing. And
what was it like having both of them at school?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Some teachers don't care. They don't like having their kids there. Maybe I guess there's conflict. Whatever.
Yeah.
To me, and I still love Harrison. I do. And, our administration knows I do, and I hope our students know I do, and our players know I do. But it's been different since they've graduated because having them there was really cool. Have Reese come and bum, snacks or whatever, and she needed, or go and yanking Cole's butt out of his lit class because he didn't turn in an assignment and wear him out in the hallway. Like normal parent stuff, kind of things. But it was really cool and really neat having them there because everything felt more intense in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The football season was
intense. Yeah.
The baseball season was intense. Reese cheering and them being involved in things. It was like all this school team pride you have, but it's on fire. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit of an adjustment and void since they've been gone.
Right.
But I will say this: it's also been really neat having a different perspective now that I've had my kids go through there. Maybe it's made me softer. I don't know, but you have these different perspectives.
Yeah.
You start to think things, not necessarily as teacher all the time, but as you do as parent.
Yeah.
You try to balance, but also too, I find myself now that. Faculty friends, we have our friend groups and our different jobs and occupations and things, and we make jokes like work wife and things and stuff like that. It's you just see coworkers and people you're friends with, their kids coming through here now, and kind of loving on them, similar to how you would your own kids. Yeah. And so it kind of silly analogy. I'm full of analogies, but it's kind of like believing in Santa Claus as a kid and how Christmas felt. And then it fades and goes away, but when you get to do it as a parent,
oh man,
it's like Santa reborn, kind of thing. And Christmas is alive again, and so it has some of those similar kind of sensations. So I absolutely loved it, and I miss it. I miss it sometimes.
What was it like for you coaching your son? That must have been something.
Cole and
special.
I through sports usually had a pretty good relationship, kind of stuff, and. Earlier on, and Amanda will probably disagree with me at times, because, I wrote him sometimes and expected, I think, more out of a 12-year-old than, you probably should because of what I do and that kind of thing. But we developed we developed a mindset early on that, once we get in the car, that game, it's over. Now, if he brings up and wants to ask a question, okay, we'll answer the question, but we're not going to talk about it in the car. Yeah. And there'll be some times we sit outside the car, for a little while kind of thing. But I tell you, it was nerve-wracking calling pitches for him.
Oh, man.
Because I think this is a positive. When I was calling pitches for Craig was in your seat, not long ago, and calling pitches for him or some of these other guys as a coach, you're kind of fearless. Yeah. And I think that's an attribute. That's a positive. Let's go. Let's, kind of stuff where I found myself being a little bit passive with Cole. That's my kid, kind of thing. And so, and then you had to kind of pump the brakes and go, no, that's not right. Do your own thing. But I really enjoyed coaching him in football. That was where my biggest joy was. And I think maybe it was because even though he was pretty effective and good on the mound and loved baseball, he was passionate about football. Yeah. And so therefore we got to share in that. But probably the best one is when he decided after his sophomore year not to play baseball anymore. And again, fall in love with the weight room. Our offensive line coach, Coach Locke, did shot put. So we told Cole, either you got to get a job or you got to be active. That's right. You're not going to just go home and sit. Nope. So he said, well, I'm going to go throw shot put, and got pretty good at it. But it was really cool to watch him do it because I ain't no flipping thing about shot put. Let's just throw it, kind of thing. So that was a neat experience. So.
Wow. Well, speaking of the baseball thing, if we're kind of circling back here for just a second, you've implemented some different things along the way. One of those happens to be the Dirt Dog Award, which I absolutely love. Talk about that for a minute and just how the origins of it. Okay. Why you did that.
Well, I'll start with the name. You and I are 90s kids, so, Long Beach, the Dirt Bags.
That's right. Yeah.
Kind of thing, and when they were making their College World Series runs and things like that, they were always, like a bunch of Lenny Dykstras running around. I mean, they just got dirty. Yeah. It didn't mean necessarily they were filthy people or whatever, or they just looked grimy. It's just they just put it all on the line, and they earned this nickname, Dirtbags. Yeah. And I guess you can say kind of like Nebraska football used to have their defense used to be the black shirts, and there was this particular thing about them. So that's kind of where the name derived from. I was trying to come up, the bulldog kind of thing, but also baseball. How can we mix it? And Dirtbag, hey, Dirt Dog. So it just kind of came out that way.
It's a good mix.
And so, and so basically what I did is took a lot of stuff that you would hear at clinics and things and stuff. And many programs have these sort of things to where you try to reward the quote unquote practice player. Yeah. You try to reward the guy that isn't necessarily the stud on the team, that's getting all the accolades. He's in all the press clippings or social media posts and perfect game, this, that, so on and so forth, of all these different things to where you know who the stars are. Mm-hmm. I wanted to recognize and make those guys who are the grinders at practice that maybe put these people in these positions or pushing these guys to be the best, that, you know, are in the inner squads are laying out and getting dirty and playing it like that's their World Series. That's who I wanted to recognize. Yeah. And so I made a list, and I wish I could just repeat them all to you right here, but made a list of here's all the qualities of what we feel a dirt dog is, which is basically what do you think a Harrison baseball player is, right? Yeah. Dependable, you know, accountable, trustworthy, you know, all these different, you know, the traits, go the extra mile, that sort of thing. And so we still have our traditional Hoya baseball T-shirts, you know, that Coach Power and Coach Elkins did, you know, with the Hoya, with the O and with the baseball, and it says baseball underneath. So we took that design and we went dirt dog, and then the O, there's a circle with the with this dog on it, and so we give that shirt to our players that win the dirt dog. Now, how do you win the dirt dog? Is you have to be nominated by a teammate. The coaches, the only time we pick them is if there's somebody that's just well deserving and we feel like giving it to them. Yeah. I mean, we have the right to do that, but most times is, you know, we'll put ballots in the locker rooms on Monday, and then whichever day, Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how the flow of the week goes, you know, we'll pick them out and I'll go through the totals, and I'll, you know, whoever gets the most votes that week will be the dirt dog. And then we present a shirt to them in front of everybody, and we read off what their teammates are saying about them, and we give them the shirt, and then they can wear that shirt anytime they want. It's part of their practice uniform. So that's where that came from and where it's evolved to, and I think it's turned into something really great and wonderful, and our faculty and administrators have really jumped on it and liked it, is we started doing the Dirt Dog wristbands. Nice. And what I wanted with that, and we've done a pretty good job, and we need to kickstart this again once we pick our teams, is our guys did a fantastic job of this, is every player got one for themselves, and then they also got one to give to somebody. And the idea is it could be anybody in the Harrison community, but it was like, let's say I'm a baseball player and Mick is in my algebra class, and Mick's asking questions. He's grinding. Maybe he made a 50 on one of his tests or something. All of a sudden, he studied his rear end off an hour. He's made an 89 or a 90 or whatever. Well, Mick is obviously grinding, and he's paying attention to things, and he's working hard. Yeah. So I want to recognize Mick as a dirt dog. Yeah. So we'll take students at Harrison and make them dirt dogs, and that way they would have something they could display and show. Yeah. We've honored faculty, janitors, even our resource officers and the dog. Okay, we honored the dog, our ladies in the attendance office and stuff. So we need to kickstart that again, get it going again. Yeah. Once we pick our teams and the smoke clears, you know, from all that. But it's just trying to take that mindset into our school community, but also to having our players be visible. And you know, I don't know if this is surface type things or what, but you know, you and I talked about just the other day about marketing, you know, and if this is our product, let's sell our product. Yeah. Yep. It's not in a way to say, hey, look at us and all the good things we're doing. Yeah. It's look at us is in the sense of, hey, we care about you, and we want to show you we care about you, and we want to show other people this is what our program is, that it isn't just, you know, wins, and it's not just chasing a ring. Those things are great and wonderful, and we want them, but at the same time is, are we improving our lives? Are we improving Harrison High School? Yeah. Are we playing at Harrison, or are we playing for Harrison? You know, and those type of mindsets.
Well, I think from a theological and biblical perspective, obviously, because that's a lot of time where my mind goes, is what you're doing with the Dirt Dogs on the team, but also at the school in the community, is you're spreading something that is contagious and it's dangerous, and that is, you're spreading hope and encouragement. Hope and encouragement will take you a long way. When you spread that to others, they feel it, they get it, they realize, I can do this, I can work harder, I can get this done, I can get out of my comfort zone and do something I've never done before. And it's this hope, which is the way we were created by God, is to be hope-based creatures. And when we have that hope and we want to spread it to others, there's an encouragement that starts to ripple. And then you think, wow, I didn't know that this was happening. I had no idea that just a simple acknowledging something, a bracelet, a T-shirt. I mean, I can think back so many guys that you gave a Dirt Dog shirt to, and you take a picture, and those guys, I mean, just
cheesing, right?
Just so happy to have that shirt.
It's the power of just giving somebody some attention, making people feel good.
You're right.
Kind of thing. And so, trying to balance that between just, hey, everything's, unicorns, rainbows, and Skittles to, but also too loving on people in the various different forms that it is. And, I guess that's really what comes down to it. I want our players to feel from me on a personal level. And as, someone who I try to be a man of God, of pleasing him and showing, that gratitude. Yeah. And I think that's important. I think that's part of a buy-in. Yeah. And people got to feel important. They got to feel loved and they got to feel important.
They do. And I think the way in which you've done it, it's not been, oh, you're a snowflake, you're so amazing, when they didn't do anything. Like they literally worked their butt off. And it wasn't like I'm working my butt off so that everybody can see me. It was just I'm working my butt off. And then teammates acknowledge them. Mm-hmm. And that's huge. That's where it comes. That's huge.
And I encourage them, and I know when this happens, I encourage them to say, hey, don't give your bracelet to your girlfriend just because she wants one. Yeah. Don't give it to your buddy, your locker mate, just because, hey, he ain't gotten one yet, and, this will make him feel good. Let's find those things. Yeah, we can dig and we can find positives, but let's find them, recognize them, and put it out there and give them their moment, kind of thing.
Yeah. As you sit here today and you're thinking about Harrison baseball, and you have this unique perspective. You get to look back, you look at the present, you look at the future. You look at it through the lens of a teacher, a coach, and a parent who had kids go through. It's a unique perspective.
Yeah, it really is. I never really thought that way, but you're right.
It is.
And maybe even add this, too, as someone who was on the other side of the tracks at one point.
That's right. Yeah.
A rival. I look at it as a rival, too.
But as you sit here and you're thinking about all of those things, and I know that's a huge merger and mixture and amalgamation of things. But what does Harrison baseball mean to you today?
Oh gosh, that's
and I know it's going to be hard to narrow that down.
What's your favorite Beatles song? I don't know. I got about 8 of them. You've only rattled one off. Yeah. Gosh, what does Harrison baseball mean to me? I try to be careful about Coach Storey, the coach Storey, the teacher, that being my identity. Mm-hmm. I even try to be careful as my kids are my identity. Mm-hmm. I am Ronald Jacob Storey, the name of my father, a gift to my parents from God, kind of thing. And so I try to be my individual, but at the same time, you can't help it that not being wrapped up in your personality and your identity too. I am the head coach of the program. Yeah. So therefore the face of the program, of course. Yeah. We're going to mix. So I think if I'm doing this honestly and if I'm doing it in a genuine manner and I'm trying to follow God's will the best I can, if I'm trying to model that to people despite my flaws and things, I want our program, on the personal level, I guess I want a program to be that way too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That we operate with integrity. Mm-hmm. We're going to mess up sometimes. Yeah. We're going to excel. Yeah. We have goals, we have ambitions, but I'm sure Coach Elkins can say the same too. Spending 30 years there is, it's hard to separate your identity from that and its identity from you. But at the same time, I feel like if we're doing this to the best of our ability, we're going to start molding young men who are the same, and people on the outside looking at Harrison baseball and respecting it from the sense of, again, not that we just win all the time kind of thing, is that they enjoy playing us because they know they're going to get a fight, and at the end of the day, we're not going to act a bunch of fools, and we're going to do this thing with integrity, and we're going to act like good human beings, kind of thing. And so, wow, I don't even know if I'm answering that.
No, I think you are, because I think when I look at you from my perspective, of course, this is a job for you, right? But it's not just a job. Like there are days where you've got to grind and you got to pick weeds and you
take things personal.
It's
hard. You don't want to, and you've got to be careful and you got to guard yourself a little bit from that. But at the same time, is like I was saying, it's hard to separate those two because I've been in charge and placed in charge of this stuff, so it reflects on me.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm going to take that pride. I'm going to take that extra time. I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to try to put myself into it. Otherwise, it's just fake and phony.
Well, and I think that's the part that's been so beneficial has been the fact that, it's a job for you, but it's far more than a job. It's a vocation. It's a calling. It's a lifestyle for you. And yes, you have to be careful with your identity. Ultimately, it's in Christ. But on the same hand, it means so much to you that you take it above and beyond. Of course, we could all do the bare minimum and do our jobs and get paid and move on. But where's the integrity in that?
Yeah.
Where's the motivation?
I'm cheating these kids if I do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, we got Division I athletes.
Yeah.
We've got D2 athletes, D3, whatever. And we got the whole gamut kind of stuff. And if I'm a baseball guy who says they love the game of baseball and I'm not giving these young men my whole self, spiritual and all,
right,
warts and all, if I'm not giving of my whole self, then why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Let somebody else do it that wants to pour into them.
I do love how after every game, home game, whether we lose or we win, it's great to always see your family come down to the gate, get to talk to them. You're hanging out with them, and it's just that support because there's no way that any leader who's leading any organization does what they do without an incredible spouse right next to them, and then children who have gotten older, that are adults, and they're there to support.
I'm 49 years old, and I still look in the stands like I'm 12.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to know who's there. Yeah. You look. You still look because it means so much. And that was, with Dad passing, and he was there for some of the season last year and this next season. It's going to be tough, and I'm going to have my moments, but I've got great people and support. You guys, all our players, you guys, Booster Club, all that stuff showed that love last year. So that makes it even more personal now. To answer your question, it makes it even more personal than what it was before.
That's right.
Because you see that love reflected. But getting back to that statement about, your support system and seeing people around you, it's, it's just that reminder, that comfort, kind of like a kid of knowing that they're there. But at the same time, that's what it means. It's that family piece. They're invested too, kind of thing. And so I forgot exactly where I was going with this, but it's along the lines of, that network, but also too, that shows how much this means to not just me, but this is our family. It affects all of us. The same with our players, the same with their parents.
Yeah. Well, and I think that gives you the fuel. Their encouragement of supporting you and being there allows you to turn around and do the same thing. Your bucket is full and you're able to pour out. So I have to give giant respect and kudos to your wife and kids. And it was always great to have your dad. That was always wonderful. Well, let me ask you some just kind of fun personal things for just a second.
Let's go.
How about who was your favorite baseball player growing up? Who did you?
Will Clark.
Yeah.
Will Clark. Now, being an Atlanta kid, you have your favorite Brave.
Yeah,
you
have to.
Will Clark. Will Clark.
Will Clark. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those things. My favorite football team is the Steelers. Now, have I ever lived in Pennsylvania? No. I've seen them play 3 times. They've been here in Atlanta, but it goes back to the first Christmas jersey I got for a Christmas present was a Franco Harris jersey. So you love them. But I chose Will Clark for a couple reasons. I wasn't on the Giants at the time. I used to love the Pirates and the Reds and the Orioles and the A's and the Astros, depending on who you played for.
Right.
But I was playing first base. I swing left-handed. I was wearing 22, and I didn't pick it because Clark, it's just that wasn't. So as a kid, you start doing that. And then that was the time he was coming out of Mississippi State. And, everybody talked about how pretty a left-handed swing was. Even at an early age, I loved his intensity. I kind of loved the fact that, he never smiled, kind of thing. It was business, And so the other part of that is my brother, Adam, who's 2 years younger than me. He loved the Bash Brothers and the A's. And it's one of those, I enjoyed that part of it too, and looking back on it, but I hated the A's at the time. Why? Because that was my brother's favorite team. So I picked the Giants, kind of thing. And so that's partly kind of Will Clark.
Yeah. So who was your favorite pitcher?
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan. Yeah. I'm with you 100%.
It kind of goes down to that, LeBron James, Michael Jordan argument is all depends on your generation. These kids they don't know. I mean, one, because everybody again, I probably topped out at 87, 89, in high school in 1994. And that was okay. That was all right. It was respectable.
Yeah.
But dang, that's people's change-ups now.
Yeah.
They're throwing change-up 92 miles an hour. But Nolan Ryan was different, and then some of it was that mindset too. It's just that you're not beating me, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to intimidate you a little bit. And I don't know. I loved that.
Yeah, yeah.
A football player
on
the mound. I loved it.
You're right, right. We had something pretty big happened this past year. And yes, we got to the Elite Eight. That was wonderful. we could rehash that whole thing. But I think there was something else that happened on our road to the Elite Eight that then we got to see the fruit of it a little bit later on. One of our players came up to us in between the West Forsyth game and asked some things. And
out of the blue.
Yeah. Talk about it for a second.
Kind of pause for a second.
Yeah.
Do I need to leave the name out of it?
Yeah, just leave the name. Just in case. Just in case. Yeah.
So one of our players came up to us between games at West Forsyth. We were fortunate enough to win game one, and so we kind of catch our breath and we think this is going to be, hey, coach, can I go to the bathroom kind of question or something? And he just said, hey, I want to let you know that I've decided to take Christ into my life and I want to get baptized. And he asked you, to baptize him. And it's just like, wait a second. It wasn't like it was a shock. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things. You just didn't expect it. That was not on our radar one bit. But it just kind of, in that moment of the height of our season at that moment, and us getting caught up in the competition piece of things and what next is like, this is what matters. Yeah. This is what all this is all about.
Yeah.
So if we dropped game 2 and then came back the next day and got our eyes beat out in game 3, we won.
Yeah.
We, as coaches and our influence in there, and believers is we won.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. We won. Somebody came over, and so as time went on, and was it the summer? Was it summer that the event went down?
It was October the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, but going to be there, with our coaching staff and, and witness that and be invited to go do it and stuff. It's that reminder of the big picture things. Yeah. And it's like, man, that was really cool. That was really neat.
It was.
That was a first in my career.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you.
I was honored just to even sit in the room kind of thing. So it was cool. Cool.
It was amazing to see what the Lord was doing in him. But then that just kind of put a whole different air in the team. I mean, it was amazing. We won the first game. And then he comes up in between, asks that question, and it's like, I mean, I remember standing there with you on the left, Coach Whiting on my right. He asked, and I think all of us were like, we're going to need to, we got to get back into this game. But
sure.
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you this too, Nick. We've got guys that are trying to make our team that have said, hey, Coach, I need to leave this time or whatever, during our throw-in period or condition because they got the same thing going on in their life. They've made those decisions.
Wow.
And other guys. And there's something running through our team.
Yeah.
Something. We all know what it is.
Yeah.
There's something running through our team that's exciting. And it's a bigger picture. And one of the things that Wes Ellis, our athletic director, talks about, is the character over victories or, those type of things of what is really important. And it's being displayed in our program.
It is.
And I like to think, and I don't mean this as take credit, I like to think it's because of the things that we're trying to add to our culture and that we're trying to do and show and recognize people for various different things. I hope that's where this goes. I think it is. I don't see how it couldn't.
Yeah. Well, I have to let you in a little secret. I obviously was preaching a sermon this morning and from a number of people, and we were talking about the power of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit, the third member of the Trinity, lives inside of all believers. There are times where he, gives them greater, the old terminology was unction, or maybe a baptism of the Holy Spirit, a refreshment And in that, you feel the love of the Father, which is incredible, and it's experiential. And so you feel the love of the Father, but there are times too that it causes you to have a more bold witness. And my example was yesterday. We finished the workday, you talked to the guys, and then it was, we're going to pray. And
that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so it's one of those,
Yeah.
I guess as a disclaimer kind of thing, is
Yeah.
just, and maybe this is part of the point you're getting at, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, is it's just sometimes it just kind of takes over, and it's just like, heck with it.
Yeah.
Here we go, kind of thing. And it's that trust that you'll be taken care of, and it's one of those, if that's what I go down in flames for, so be it,
Well, and I think that's why I was bringing it out was there's almost a baptism of the Spirit where you just led in prayer. You were bold in your faith. At the same time, it wasn't distasteful. It wasn't rude.
Right.
It wasn't obnoxious.
And we offer, I guess, to kind of protect himself a little bit. So we offer to say, listen, if you don't want to participate in this, it's totally okay.
Yeah.
And I even asked, is it okay?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so it's one of those, I guess what I'm trying to say too, is I don't want to hide from it, but I also got to understand where I'm at, whatnot.
You do.
This is one of those things where it just kind of came out and, you know, sort of deal. But I think that's important for our baseball family to understand the depth of each other, kind of thing. And so, wasn't done any kind of intent or kind of thing other than just, listen, we're all about to go through some difficult trial stuff.
You better believe it.
And so we needed that little extra comfort, deep breath, whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And I think it goes back to that number 40, that transition period, the Lord using a leader to pick up where he's left off and keep moving forward. I would say that, man, there were some great awards that you've come up with for the banquet that you've been doing that have been new pieces that I think guys are very honored by and very grateful for. And I think if there's anybody, tuning in and seeing this, go check out the website. It looks great.
Mrs. Snow did a wonderful job.
Oh, looks good.
She did a great job.
It looks really good.
She put in a lot of work because there was a lot of history.
And
a lot of stuff on there. So her updates as far as helping getting us into the new era and up to date kind of thing.
It looks great.
It does.
And you've done a great job of reaching out to the alumni and forging those relationships. As I said, there's a lot of history back there, and a lot of those guys just want a simple, hey, how you doing?
And we want them to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I know there's times that, alumni that's listening to us is, I get busy, I get sideways, and I know you get neglected a little bit as far as they reaching back out to you. But that's one of our goals is to bring that home. And is there a financial piece to it that could help us develop our facilities? Sure. Yeah. Is that our intention? No, it's not.
Right.
We want to embrace that history. And like I said, not change the culture, add to it.
Yeah.
So you can't add to it if you don't bring in what the culture presently was for the new guys to see, and to tell their stories and for them to understand what it means to play at Harrison.
That's right.
And so, there's a business side to it. We'd love some, big donor to help us, build permanent stands or something and a new backstop. Of course, every program would.
Absolutely.
Every program would. But at the same time, it's having played with some of those guys and hearing the stories, I want them to be a part of it. I want them to be, that reflection of who we all have been and, the fathers and the business owners and
that's right.
All these things that they played in their role and went on to do that was much bigger than their time at Harrison, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the great thing about baseball is every inning has a story.
It's a tradition game, too.
Yeah. Oh,
You've got to embrace your history.
Yes.
You have to.
Yeah, you do. But every inning has a story. Every game has a story. Every season has a story. Every 3 to 4 years has a story because it's your freshman year to your senior year, right? And the wonderful thing is there's always God working his way through his story, maybe into another story.
Well,
It's pretty cool.
Story.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, anything else that you can think of as we start to kind of close this out? Anything that else you'd like to talk about? I know we've covered a lot of territory, and there's a lot more we could still cover.
Oh, yeah, we could go on. And it's one of those things is, we get an hour of time to kind of just talk about the things that you present, but it's easy to talk about this stuff, and it's easy to have the relationship that you and I have started to develop just to talk. And before you look at it, it's like, holy cow, it's been over an hour, kind of thing. It's easy to get kind of lost in it. But no, I say no and yes. I don't know. It's one of those things to where, come support us, come be out and a part of it. On February 6th, we have our blue-green game. That's been a new tradition. To where it's varsity versus JV, but varsity pitchers will play for the JV and vice versa, so that it's varsity versus varsity, JV versus JV, but they're separate teams. One wears blue, one wears green. It's a dress rehearsal. It's music. It's food trucks. It's everything. I mean, Coach Freeman says this year finally they're going to be able to get out and they're going to broadcast it. And,
all right.
We'll have like some of our players say, for example. I'll pick Colin White. So say like if Colin throws the first inning or whatever, and once he gets done with his work, he's going to go up to the booth and give an interview, and we're going to make it as interactive in big league, as much as we can, know. So that's become a big community thing. Kids get to run the bases after the game. It seems silly.
No,
but it's one of those things where like, why would you want to do that in high school? These kids love it. Our guys love it.
They do.
It's so cool to watch the joy on their face of these kids just going nuts, kind of thing. But but it's all part of it, kind of building the community. I mean, it's one of those things. Go to the website if you want to be a sponsor. There's always things that we can improve on. We bought a scoreboard last year, and we got payments for that, and we want to build a new backstop. We want to. Get more permanent bleachers. There's always things you want to do to kind of, just like any business, kind of thing. So if you want to get involved that way, do so. If come check out a game. I want people to feel like our alumni, that this is a community thing, because this day and age, community is so hard. It was even like when you and I were playing in high school. I mean, you had your McEachern community and you had your Harrison community, but we still kind of shared a little bit. I mean, we still had those connections. Well, there's how many high schools we have now? 15?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. And so just within our actual community, it's us, Hillgrove, McEachern to an extent, Marietta, Kennesaw Mountain, Mount Perrin, North Cobb Christian, East Paulding, really, even too. It's right there. So you've got all these schools pulling and tugging from the same people and same resources. It's hard to develop that.
It is.
So I think that's where alumni comes in as such an important piece, is because that's kind of that built-in community. So just jump in, support us, be there, come check us out. Got questions? We've got a great board that's willing to help and grow a program and share some of the same vision. And just I've learned that if you don't ask the question, the answer is always no.
That's right.
You may ask the question, be told no, but they might say yes, kind of thing. So I think it's kind of the same. If you want to be involved, find out who we are and that sort of thing. Just ask the question.
That's it. I mean, I think there was a guy who said, ask, seek, and knock. So probably should follow him. Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking this time to sit down and get to talk about, I know, things that you hold near and dear to your heart, but I do too. And so it's been a great time. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to support the podcast, take a look at the link in the description below. We're praying for you. Please pray for us. We need multiple exposures to the gospel.